Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today, back in Xenon Valkyrie, finally wrapping things up and going for the last achievement, which is going to be the level 25 achievement. Of course, if you use the cheat code this whole time to get the rest of the achievements, this one's probably going to be your last one. Since we basically used that cheat code this whole time, we didn't have the opportunity to try to grind this achievement out legit, so we're going to have a dedicated playthrough just going for the level 25. Make sure you start up the game. You can choose whoever you want for your character. However, I'm going to recommend New as he has the most alternate levels available to him, so you have more room to work with the achievement if you choose him. Make sure you get into the game and then make sure you punch in the cheat code. Hit that back button, left, left, down, right, up, Y. That's going to give us a ton of health as well as a ton of money, but more importantly, it's going to allow us to insta-kill pretty much any enemy in the game. Hit up the teleporter. We're basically going to have to play through the game the old-fashioned way, but with super overpowered stats. So just make sure you get in and then just make sure you kill everything you see. It shouldn't be too bad. You don't really have to try in the level necessarily. Your goal is to just kill enemies to grab XP. If at any point you get stuck or the level starts to run too thin on enemies, you can hit left trigger at any time to warp to the finish. So if you ever get too frustrated with the randomness of the level, just make sure you skip it and then move on to the next one. It's not worth getting hung up in one particular place if it's too frustrating. That being said, you do want to make the most of your time in any one particular level, so just make sure you keep swatting away, and then hopefully you get as much XP as you can, and then once you are all ready, just make sure you hit left trigger, hit up that teleport, and then get to the next level. I'm going to recommend that you help the red NPC out, so make sure you give him money every time you see him. Obviously, helping him out all the way is going to open up some alternate levels, which is going to give us more room to work with if we do need more XP. But you should be able to get enough XP by the time you hit the end of the game. It's just good to have an extra room in case there is a margin of error. So, pretty typical video game logic. You're going to have the earlier enemies give you less XP and the later enemies give you more XP. So, just make sure you kill everything you see. It shouldn't really matter since we are going to have super overpowered stats and everything's going to die in a single hit. The way the XP works for bosses is whenever you kill a boss, it's just going to advance you to whatever the next level is. So my best advice to take advantage of the bosses is to basically not enter the boss room while you are in the middle of a current level. And that way you can get the most out of the free level up that defeating a boss would give you. So you're going to have your first alternate path right here. If you want to, you can go up to the binary stone and then punch in the code that's on it. Remember, the dashes are going to represent up and the zeros are going to represent down. Make sure you punch in that code while standing on the skull of the skeleton, and that should warp you over to this secret area, giving you the alternate path to some bonus levels. So I am going to recommend that you try to do this because these bonus levels are going to contain some pretty powerful enemies, and we can get a ton of XP if we go all the way through. This is going to be a recommendation and is not totally required, so if you absolutely despise these levels for whatever reason, you can also just move on and then play the game like normal. Nonetheless, going into these levels should give you a ton of XP if you do take out the bulk of enemies. Remember to keep this level going as long as you can. Whenever you get to those points of the level where there's a branching path for teleports, make sure you go into the teleporter that has the square underneath it. That's going to be the correct path forward. So just try your best to get the most out of all of the regular levels. Make sure you try to take out as many enemies as you can. And if you do get lost, that left trigger to skip to the end is always going to be available to you. So make sure you take advantage of that if you are getting too frustrated. Nonetheless, these levels are going to be a great source of XP if you do plan on going this path. But again, it's going to be up to you. So once you take out the boss, you're going to be warped forward into the game. Once you take out the Black Storm Lab boss, we're going to be sent back to the main path of the game, and we can continue on like normal. However, this time we are going to go in with a ton of XP under our belt since we did take that extra level path. So just make sure you keep pressing forward. Remember to keep investing in the NPC's money wishes, and that way another alternate path is going to open up in a bit. So just make sure you get through the next few levels or so, get through the next boss, and then hopefully you should get some XP along the way. And then basically once you wrap this one up and then make the jump over, you're going to meet up with that NPC again. And this time your investments in him are going to allow you to head to said alternate level. So make sure you take him up on that offer, and then we're going to have more levels to work with. So make sure you warp on over to the Ivory Tundra, and then we're going to have another slew of levels to fill out our XP bar with. So just make sure you kill as many enemies as you can, same old, and then get to the boss, defeat him, and then it's going to be back onto the main path we go. Once you make the jump back, you should be in this area. There's going to be another alternate path if you jump up to head to the spaceship level. The spaceship level is going to be a fantastic source for experience. So if you are still in the mid-teens, I'm going to recommend you take that path. However, if you were diligent enough and managed to stay on the grind and are in your 20s at this point, I'm going to recommend you just stick to the main path and play the Giga Cocoon levels, which are going to be the last normal levels before the last boss fight. So just make sure you wrap up your level grind right here. Once you hit level 25, you aren't going to get the achievement right away. You actually have to end the game. So that can either be you dying or playing all the way to the end. So make sure you do whatever suits your fancy. Either way, both are going to take a little bit of time as you're going to have a ton of health and it takes a really long time to kill yourself. Or you can just speed through to the end of the game, which isn't going to be too bad. It's just going to mean another boss fight that we've done already so many times. But nonetheless, once you end the game with that level 25, you should be good for the achievement. There it is, 20 gamer score. And if you've been following us since the beginning, this is where your completion should be. Hope you enjoyed everything that the guide had to offer. And that's all there is to it.